Hi, I'm Jenny Wickham, and this is my project on the Bruce Peninsula National Park in Tobermory, Ontario. Behind here is a picture of the park. As you can see, it's a huge peninsula and has many parts to it. So let's get into it. So the park is 156 square kilometers. It's one of the largest protected areas in southern Ontario. So who promoted it? Well, this park was actually featured in the National Parks Project, which is a short film. So it had 3 musicians and 1 filmmaker. And what they did was, it's like 22 minutes long. I have a link there at the bottom. They went to this park and they were exploring the different sections. They went into the caves and everything, and they tried to make different musics and different feels to where they were in the park, and the filmmaker actually turned it into a really cool short film at the end. So I would definitely go check that out. Super cool. So there's also the Bruce Peninsula Tourist Association, and what that is they post updates and information on the park onto their website. And what they did was they actually wrote an entire guidebook, which you can see on the picture to the right, called the Beautiful Bruce Peninsula Guidebook. So the park was actually created as the Bruce Peninsula National Park in 1987. As I said, it's one of the largest protected areas, and that makes it part of the UNESCO, the Escarpment World Biosphere Reserves. So what that means is it's large enough to be one of the biosphere reserves, so that group made it part of that thing. And what you can do there is you can go camping, you can hike, you can go on boat rides, you can snorkel, and you could actually birdwatch too. They have a bunch of shipwrecks there, so that's a pretty cool thing you can check out. It changed over 10,000 years ago when the sea level adjusted and formed cabots, which are actually coral fossils. And these created like some super huge cliffs. You can see that in many of the areas of the park. So the history, part 2. So it's actually the traditional home of the Sajin Ojibwe First Nations tribe, which occupied this territory for centuries and protected over 200 species of birds and mammals, which is pretty cool. They're definitely like a nature-based tribe. You could see it in the black and white picture to the left and a more modern picture on the right of the female dancing in her tribe little outfit there. They were also able to preserve the park, and that's why it's one of the best places to visit, in my opinion, because they have lots of like natural places to go to, and they keep it clean, or they kept it clean and beautiful. So it's a pretty cool thing that they did. So the geology of the park, the end of the peninsula features the Niagara Escarpment towering cliffs, which I said earlier. Those are the cliffs made out of cabot, and you can go visit and do a little bit of hiking and mountain climbing on those, and you could actually rock climb down and go inside of some of those caves. As you can see in the picture to the left, there are a few people actually in there, and some of those caves have little pools of water. They're freezing, but you can go in them in the summer if it's warm enough. In the National Parks Project, the group of people actually went swimming in there, and they had some pretty cool acoustic sounds. So the water surrounding the end of the peninsula is the mysterious Georgian Bay. It has 5 shipwrecks. It's pretty cool. Interesting fact, the water near Bruce Peninsula has over 25 shipwrecks total, which I think is awesome. You could actually go and snorkel, and some people actually even go and scuba dive around there. So that picture has the grotto cave system on the edge of the peninsula, and it was once hidden 400 million years ago by crustaceans, living corals, and mollusks. Over time, the sea began to dry up and the minerals dissolved, which hardened the rock and created that like beautiful texture that it has. The last ice age also has created much of the physical features, as you can see, the overhanging cliffs and the deep caves due to all the erosion. So some about the climate and the best times to visit the park. It has a maritime climate zone. So there's cool summers and cool but not cold winters. So it's pretty temperate there. The summer average is 62 degrees Fahrenheit, and the winter average is only 19.9 degrees, but, for those Canadians, a lot of them can handle that weather. I don't know, I'd be kind of cold, though, so I'd definitely be visiting in the summer. But that has a lot more tourists there as well, so... it's up to you whether you want to go when it's more populated, but better temperature, or less populated and a little bit colder. So the summer does get hot because the humid air masses that come from the Pacific Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. And the winter typically gets more Pacific air masses that leave warm and humid temperature, although Arctic highs can occur, leaving cold, dry air. Early spring and late autumn weather can be highly variable, but summer will be a lot busier. So yeah, definitely plan accordingly. So some key features of the park, the National Parks Project is definitely cool. So it marked the 100th year anniversary of the creation of the National Parks of Canada system. So that's a pretty good milestone for them. The Georgian Bay shipwrecks that I talked about before. The northern tip of the park has the most visited areas due to its magnificent coral cliffs and cave systems that were preserved by the tribe. And for 100 years, the Cabot Head Lighthouse has stood guiding ships to port 80 feet above the waves. The lighthouse showcases views of the Georgian Bay and the Niagara Escarpment, which is super awesome. Some more key features is on the west end of the park, the geology ranges from the wetlands to lakes and globally rare ecosystems, which gives it diverse plant and wildlife. And speaking of the plant and wildlife, there are actually over 40 species of wild orchids that live there. It's pretty cool. So here are some sections of the park to visit. There is the log dump, which has parking, logs, picnic areas, pretty essential places for families and other visitors. There's the Singing Sands, which is a ungroomed natural beach. So that's a pretty cool, like, barren place to visit if you're into going on the beach without, like, a lot of people being there. And it's very natural, so it's a cool place to go to. There's the visitor center and the different trails, so these maps are pretty essential when you're going to visit. It's a huge park, so you definitely don't want to be getting lost. And there's also the Cypress Lake Trails to the grotto. It's one of the most popular caves at the park, which I featured in one of the slides before. And you're allowed to go in there and explore it, so here they have a map with the trailheads and such. Over here is the Flower Pot Island at Fathom. So this island is off the coast of the peninsula, has multiple loop trails and varying elevations. And as you can see in the picture, that little standing rock figure, it's called the Flower Pot Island because of those rocks. They actually looked like flower pots, so they named it after that. Those are pretty cool. And here are my references. So that's it for the national park. I hope you enjoyed the project, and I hope this voiceover works. Thank you.